Alright, hello again. So, I needed to make this video also because what I didn't realize is that people would actually have quite a few questions regarding playing Battalion Wars and how to get it working on Dolphin. So I'm going to try to answer some of the questions I've been seeing in the Discord. And also my bad for not responding quickly in the Discord channel because apparently a lot of people live in different time zones. So I was asleep for most of the questions that people had. So, first of all, which version of Dolphin to use? I use version 5.0 for playing Battalion Wars. It seems to work great, so that's the version I use. And I know that that version also works online, which I'll get to in a little bit. So, yeah, 5.0, I'll have a link to it in the description. Keep in mind, your PC still has to be good. You can adjust the settings and turn a lot of things down to get it to run. So, I mean, even if your computer isn't very good, you can probably get Battalion Wars to run at a decent frame rate. And its in-game frame rate is 30 FPS, so that also helps things. I'll also have a link to a guide for how to get Dolphin to run better if your PC specs aren't great. So, the ISO. People were asking about where to get ISO links in the Discord, which is probably my fault because I was really vague about it. But, I mean, and also I was asleep, which didn't help things. But if you join and you're looking for the ISO, message me first. Before you do anything else, if you need the ISO, just message me about the ISO, and I will help you. Or better yet, if I'm not online, message Yoshi or Koopa, because they live in Europe, so there's a good chance that if I'm asleep, they'll be online. Next up, controls. So, people weren't sure what controls or how to get your controller set up in Dolphin. So, Dolphin can use Xbox 360 controller, which is what I use for Battalion Wars and Battalion Wars 2. You can actually use a real Wiimote if you know how to set that up, which I've never done, but I'm sure there's a guide for it. You can use a GameCube controller if you have the GameCube controller adapter, which I do, but I prefer Xbox 360 controller, so I still use that. Xbox One controllers I've heard work, but they might need an extra driver, so that's something you'll have to look up on your own. And PS3 controllers I'm pretty sure also work without any additional driver software. Now I'll put up my controller settings that I use for Xbox 360, and it can at least serve as a good base for where you should start, I think, because I really like the settings I have. They work great. People were asking about the Nunchuck and being able to make your infantry jump or roll or do flips in fighters or submerge as a submarine. So in order to set up your controller, you need to go to controller settings and then choose emulated Wiimote for Wiimote 1 and then click on configure. And then from the drop down menu under device, you want to pick gamepad, which would be your controller, and here you can see my button mapping that I've done for mine. Now, one thing to note is under IR, I have center, width, and height set to 30, 80, and 30. Those feel good for me, and it keeps the crosshair in a good position, because the default, it sort of keeps the crosshair at a weirdly high position, which I didn't like. So, I mean, you can change those, but those are what I found to be pretty good for me. And now I'm going to move on to the Nunchuck, so if you need to pause the video to see those for the Wiimote portion, just go ahead and do that. But looking at the Nunchuck now, which, by the way, you have to select Nunchuck from that drop-down menu for extensions, and then pick configure. And these are my Nunchuck settings. So the important part for getting your infantry to be able to jump, or basically do anything that has to do with shaking the Nunchuck, you just want to set shake to a button. And I have the button mapped to the right analog stick when you press it in. I just personally like the way that feels, but if you wanted it to feel more like Battalion Wars 1 jumping, you can map it to X on an Xbox 360 controller, because that's kind of where the B button would be. or just pick any button of your choosing. As long as the X, Y, and Z variables are all mapped to the same button, you should be able to jump without any trouble. Okay, next up, I want to talk about online and using the unofficial servers to play Battalion Wars 2 online. So people were talking about this a little bit in the Discord, and I want to address it. You can play online with Battalion Wars 2. You can do it via a regular Wii, or by using Dolphin, which is something that I didn't even know about until just recently. Because back when the unofficial servers were a new thing, I think Dolphin was able to use them, but then they started banning Dolphin users because they were worried that people would be able to get away with cheating more easily. And that is true, but then apparently there was this guy who came up with this way to get Dolphin to work online anyway, using a procedure where you unban your Dolphin account, which is really cool. So now I can actually play online with Dolphin, which, as you can see, I was able to get on the server, and I'm just kind of looking at the online missions again. But yeah, so that's actually something that I really want to do now, is play online with some people. So we will definitely get that going soon. I know somebody was talking about making a tournament, which would be really cool. But for the time being, I'm going to make a video showing how to play this game online, and also specifically how to get it to work online with Dolphin as well. And I actually did test playing a skirmish mission online. I tested Melee, and it worked. I opened 2 instances of Dolphin. I made a second Battalion Wars 2 profile for the second instance, and then I went and I searched for a game on both of them at the same time, and they found each other and connected, and I was able to play against myself online. So I know it works, and I know it works also because I did do it before, like years ago, on a regular Wii, and it worked. So yeah, this is really cool. And one of the really great things is, since I can play against myself online now, I can actually test online mods really easy and fast, which is great. So I can get back to trying to port single-player missions into online, which is something I always wanted to do. And it's also possible to turn like co-op levels into versus levels, since you can change which army each player is in control of. Now, one more thing I want to talk about before I end this video is Battalion Wars 3. So people have been talking about Battalion Wars 3 and ideas for the game and kind of brainstorming, and that's all fine and good. If you want to brainstorm ideas, I'm completely okay with that, because that's fun. I enjoy thinking of ways that Battalion Wars 3 could be better than the previous games. So go ahead and do that. But just know that this is like not something that we're actively working on. And by we're, I mean myself and the other modders. We're there to just mess with Battalion Wars 2 and Battalion Wars 1. Making Battalion Wars 3 is not actually something that is on our list of objectives. We don't have the rights to do that, and getting the rights to do that isn't really possible, I don't think. So what is more possible would be making a spiritual successor type game, where nothing actually directly related to Battalion Wars is in there, but maybe just, you know, same kind of gameplay and maybe a similar art style. But yeah, that's still not something that we're really actively working on. And also, none of us really have experience in making a game. I think the only person who has coding experience is Yoshi. But even then, like, making a game is a huge ordeal. So don't get your hopes up too high for something like that. But again, feel free to talk about your ideas and all that, because I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope I was able to answer at least some of your questions regarding this game. And again, if you have more and I'm not online, I would say private message me, because that ensures that I see your message later on and I can respond to you easily. Or ask Yoshi or Koopa, because there's a good chance that they can answer your question.